When the moment that really touched my life occurred, it was when my mother passed away. I felt intense anger towards God, questioning why he didn't save her life. Losing her had a profound impact on me, and it caused my faith. I also found myself withdrawing from the activities and interests I once enjoyed because the pain in my heart was overwhelming. I used to be a bitter person and very intuitive, but after her death, I started giving up on everything, including my spiritual life and the things I used to cherish. It truly affected me, leading to a state of giving up. I traveled to stay in Alabama, and after some time, I came back to my spiritual life. I fully embraced God and the intuitive spirit within me, which made me unafraid. I began sensing the presence of angels and felt a strong connection with them. Later, I lost my dad, and I sensed he was in a good place. During my journey back to Florida, I had this feeling that I might get COVID-19, but I tried not to dwell on it and remain positive. After arriving in Florida, I had a wonderful Thanksgiving with my family. However, after some time, I noticed that my husband, daughter-in-law, and I all started experiencing flu-like symptoms, which worried me. This happened in November 2020. Eventually, we decided to get tested, and my husband tested positive for COVID-19. We went back home, and I discovered something unusual was happening. I had to return to the clinic because I found it difficult to function, and my breathing wasn't normal. The doctor suggested that I be taken to the emergency room, but initially, I was hesitant as I thought I was fine. However, my husband agreed and took me to the nearby hospital, where I was admitted to the emergency room. On arriving at the hospital, my husband was not allowed to enter. We only stopped at the entrance in the waiting area designated for COVID-19 patients. I was taken in a wheelchair to a room. And at one point, I was called to have my vitals checked, but I couldn't even walk. I felt alone, extremely tired, weak, and scared as the nurses wheeled me to a dark room. I realized that I was in serious trouble when they took my vitals and blood samples from both hands. All of a sudden, she rushed me to the emergency room, and I was immediately admitted to the hospital. They quickly took an X-ray of my lungs and started administering oxygen and treatment. It was a few days later that I realized I was in the ICU. A nurse came to check on me, and I was lying down in a position that I've been used to since I was a kid, but due to what happened to my back, lying on my stomach was uncomfortable. I told them I preferred lying on my side, and they agreed. When I looked at the X-rays in the room, I noticed that my lungs appeared like white tissues on them, which was very disturbing and made me feel awful about everything that was happening. I've never felt so vulnerable and alone before. It was a really tough day for me. My pulse rate started to drop, and my oxygen levels began to decrease, which was something I was so scared of. But now it was happening to me. I realized things were getting worse, going from bad to very, very bad. I felt like I had no control over it. I tried to lay on my stomach, hoping it would help, but it wasn't easy. And I lost track of time. I had no idea what was happening to me, and the pain was evident. The severe coughing continued, and it seemed to intensify with each passing moment, and I couldn't stop it. While I was lying there, something suddenly caught my attention. I was facing the left side, and I remember turning my head to the right, where I saw a very bright white figure. At first, I felt weak and didn't want to entertain the idea of it being something supernatural, but the light was so bright that I had to look again. I saw a figure with golden hair, but I couldn't see the face clearly. All of a sudden, I found myself following the figure, which I realized was my angel. I followed the angel into a room with a transparent wall and a pool by the side. I was so focused on the transparent wall that I didn't notice the other side at first. But then, to my surprise, I saw my deceased loved ones, starting with my mother and then my dad, along with other relatives. As I talked to them, they explained that they were fine and at peace. They asked me to convey this message to the outside world and not to worry about them. I was overwhelmed with happiness upon hearing this. The journey continued as I encountered a bright light, and I saw a beautiful figure, which turned out to be Mother Mary, glowing and radiant. In this dimension, I felt strong and full of light. I was assured not to worry about COVID-19 as I saw myself healthy and well, and that I will be fine. There were many blessings in this other dimension, and I felt a sense of comfort and peace. Now listen to this. In 2010, I experienced the heart-wrenching loss of my beloved mother. And then in 2014, my father also departed from this world. The year 2020 brought further sorrow as we tragically lost Dennis first and then John in the summer, both succumbing to serious health issues. These losses were not related to COVID. They were separate battles with significant health challenges, adding to the already heavy burden of grief. Another heartbreaking event occurred on Saturday, December 4, 2021, when Jan's husband took his own life. It was a devastating blow, coming just a day before I found myself admitted to the hospital. The weight of loss seemed almost unbearable during this trying time. Yet amidst the depths of sorrow, something extraordinary and inexplicable happened as I gazed at the photographs of my departed loved ones hanging on the wall. Their images were reflected gently in the water nearby. A strange sense of serenity enveloped me as I noticed how they all appeared content and joyous, each wearing a gentle smile. Though they remained silent, their presence felt palpable, and I sensed an overwhelming aura of happiness, joy, a profound sense of well-being emanating from them. It was as though they were trying to communicate without uttering a single word. As I concentrated on each individual photograph, an astonishing phenomenon occurred. Their messages seemed to reach me in ways beyond the spoken language. It was as if their thoughts were magically transferred directly into my mind, and I felt a deep connection with them, receiving their guidance and love with a sense of awe and wonder. Guided by what felt like an angelic presence by my side, I moved slowly past each photograph, cherishing the unique connection I had with every departed soul. Their unspoken words and loving energy left an indelible imprint on my heart, offering comfort and reassurance during my darkest and most difficult moments. This inexplicable experience provided me with solace and the realization that the love and connection we share with our loved ones transcend the boundaries of this world, offering hope and strength even in times of profound loss. The next thing I experienced was a vivid recollection of my journey back through the light, retracing the path that led me into that otherworldly space. Eventually, I found myself back at the hospital, feeling physically weak but immensely happy about the profound encounter I'd had on the other side. Ensured that I would recover from COVID-19, my mind found peace. And the sadness that had overwhelmed me during my hospital stay seemed to dissipate. During my brief time in that extraordinary dimension, I realized that there were aspects of existence beyond our earthly reality, something much grander and more profound. The experience had a transformative effect on me, and I began to feel stronger and healthier day by day. The medical team was astonished at my rapid recovery, and within 3 days, I was discharged from the hospital. On the way home, I made an intriguing observation that stayed with me. The places and things I saw in our earthly reality appeared somehow less genuine and vibrant compared to what I had witnessed on the other side. Everything there seemed to possess life and vitality, from the houses to the walls. Even the water exuded life. However, in our earthly reality, things appeared lackluster and devoid of life in comparison. Returning home, I noticed a profound shift in my perspective. I no longer took things as seriously as I used to, recognizing the fleeting nature of our existence on earth. The only thing that mattered to me was sharing my near-death experience with others and spreading the message of hope and love that I encountered in that extraordinary place. The brightness of love in that realm was so overwhelming, something that cannot be adequately described within the limitations of our world. In that encounter, one striking realization was the profound connectedness between God's presence and all of us in this life. It was as if we were bound together by an unbreakable bond, one of the most precious gifts bestowed upon humanity. This newfound understanding compelled me to cherish the connections I have with others and value the essence of love and unity that transcends our earthly reality. After my profound encounter, I felt a disconnection from the outside world. Curiously, I realized that fear and apprehension no longer plagued me, as those things that used to cause distress ceased to have a hold on me. It took me a considerable 5 to 6 weeks to fully integrate back into this reality. And during this time, I gradually resumed my normal activities. A notable change was my newfound awareness of the presence of angels around my house. Their comforting presence reaffirmed tuition, which continued to guide me in various aspects of life. This profound connection to the spiritual realm filled me with genuine happiness and contentment. Despite the transformative experience, I must admit that there were moments of sadness that followed. Nevertheless, I remain profoundly grateful for this extraordinary encounter that fundamentally altered my perception of life. It took me about 9 months after the event before I felt compelled to write down and share what I had experienced, and even typing it out was a deeply meaningful and cathartic process. I cannot emphasize enough how thankful I am for this remarkable gift, one that bestowed upon me a genuine understanding of the true essence of life. Such an encounter is truly a blessing to humanity. It reveals the profound interconnectedness and love that envelops us, transcending the limitations of our physical reality.